and was chatting with a number of students from the senior and junior class. And we were talking about, so I'm going to call on your memories, we were talking about the 6th grade Ask.fm debacle. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? So for those of you who don't remember, or for those of you who came in after this, picture me in the fall of my first year here, very accustomed to working with very wily upper schoolers in my previous life in a boarding school. And I'm sitting in this room with 6th graders, you know, like yay high. And we had heard, we were getting calls from parents, this Ask.fm, and we were gone online and seeing this crazy stuff that was going on. Not necessarily from our girls, but anybody could be on, and it's anonymous. So I'm sitting in the room, and the girls are describing how they're meeting these friends, these new friends, from all over the city, and how they're sure that these new friends go to schools like Brearley, and how they're going to meet up at coffee houses and pizza, and they've given their addresses, and I'm going here, oh my God, it's like the scream by Edward Bunch. I was like, oh my gosh. So I stood up at that meeting and I said, okay, let me just share with you, you know, we don't know who those people are, and we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And they were like, oh no, Mrs. Freed, you know. And there were a few tears at that meeting because they were like, oh no, who are these people? And I said, well, I don't know who they are, but we're getting you all off of it. And that experience, watching them in the room as 6th graders sort of come to the realization that they were living in this fantasy world online. And they were really kind of the first, you know, I don't think that site, which is banned at Brearley forevermore, but I don't think that site was, I think it was brand new that year. And so we were kind of all discovering this together. And, you know, from that moment on, having watched all these girls share their thoughts and who they were meeting, and then realizing that maybe they weren't meeting the people they thought they were meeting, like I felt like as if I had this special bond with this class. To say that they are lively may be for some an understatement, but they really epitomize the heart of the school. They are engaged and involved in every aspect of the school, in every event, in every house event. You win, whether it's for costumes or other things. Miss Glick, you have harnessed this.
They're the best.
They're the best, right? They are the best. And they remind me a lot of the class in my first year who were seniors. Very similar, these creative individuals who love the school, who love to get people together, who love to create community. And, you know, so today, you know, I was in this meeting with some seniors and we were talking about this event at, you know, back when they were in 6th grade. And then later in the afternoon, I was in a meeting with Ms. Siegel and Ms. Kramer and, you know, Aditi and Maddie, and we were talking about sort of the events that are coming for the rest of the year, and how from the holiday party to the skating party to other things that are going to happen, they are still trying to create community. This is a class I think that will be very strongly, firmly bonded to Brearley throughout their lives. They are the people. I was in Boston on Monday night at a bar for Brearley. These are some of the perks of the job. And it was a development event, you know, alumni event in Boston, and it was pouring rain. And we had this gathering at this establishment. And I think every student who is now studying in Boston was there. And they all came. And there were these older alumni who were there, and they were looking at these younger alumni saying, this is unbelievable that they're all here. And of course the Brearley girls were, the younger Brearley students were out there networking, getting cards, asking for internships, doing all those things that you would expect that they were doing. But at one point in the evening, I said, I'd like to institute a new tradition, which is whenever we have an alumni event, that we ask the alumni to write what I'm calling Brearley grams to faculty and staff who have meant a lot to them. So, I had some paper. I didn't know how many people would do it. I mean, we're at a bar, there's a lot going on. We don't have really our own section or a table. But when I left that night, I had 55 Brearley grams to put in the boxes of faculty and staff when I returned to school on Tuesday morning. And I think that connection to the school is so important. And I'm used to being in schools that at the fall of senior year or the winter of senior year, all the kids talk about is getting out. That's what they talk about. They can't wait to be done. And maybe there are some people in the audience whose daughters feel that way. But the more pervasive feeling at Brearley among seniors, I see Ms. Glick's head nodding, is this realization that what they've had at the school is really special. And that they're very excited for the next step. They're very excited for the next step. But they also can appreciate in the moment what they've had and what they may lose when they leave. And I think it's bittersweet. I've talked to a number of parents tonight. It's a little bit of a bittersweet moment. But I have to tell you, it is a rare senior who can appreciate the education she has had, the community that not only she's been part of, but she's contributed to over these years, in the moment. Sure, when they go to college, they'll go, oh my gosh, now I know why they asked us to do all of that stuff. But when they're in it, to feel like it's slipping away a little bit, and they want to catch it. And they want to be there, and they want to be part of it. That is a very special thing. And for me, and I will say this is nothing that I've created. This is Brearley. This is part of the tradition of the school, that the respect for the education, but also the love for the community, that I think the students, it lives in them, forevermore. And when you have a class that is this excited about creating community, one of the things that I think about is, this will be a class that we will talk about, not only for their time at Brearley, but also later on. There are a few classes who pop up all the time, and who connect back to the school regularly. And I think this class, the class of 2019, will be one of those classes. The last thing I want to say is this is not an easy time for your daughters. This is bittersweet. You've got one foot in leaving and one foot firmly planted as leaders of the school. But there's also this sense of the unknown that comes before. So I'm going to tell a couple of little stories to help you think about how you can help them through this period of time. One of the things that is always surprising to me is that a year after the girls are in college, when I meet up with the parents, either at Brearley or on the street, everyone is so excited about what their daughters are doing. Now, why is that surprising? I would expect the parents were excited about what their daughters are doing. Well, sometimes, I'm involved when people may not be so excited about where their daughters are going once they get their admission decisions from colleges. And they may be disappointed. But yet, what's interesting is 6 months later, it's like that was never even a conversation. I mean, I've literally had to tell people who are alumni of colleges where their daughters haven't gotten in, do not write that letter to the president of the college. Because if you do, you can, but if you do, you can never go back. And then bumped into, this is a true story, bumped into that person 6 months later outside Brearley who's like, Jane, can I tell you how it's as if this other thing never even happened. I say this to share with you that the girls do extraordinarily well in the admission process. And one of the things you can do in this period is to be their rudder, right? They're in the bow of the boat, and the waves may come over a little bit and splash onto the deck. They may be feeling like they're riding the storm a little bit. Do not jump in the front of the bow of the boat with them and tip it over. This is a bad idea. Stay at the rudder, help provide some ballast. I promise you, I mean, this is my 7th year, right? I've seen people nodding their heads. This is my 7th year. It all works out. It all works out. So stay in the back, do the rudder, tell her it's going to be fine, because it will be fine. I mean, it really, really will be fine. And they count on you. And when you get to the bow of the boat, they're like, my mom or my dad's in the bow of the boat with me. What am I going to do? I'm like, put him in the back, like push him back. So you really got to help us with this. You really got to help us with this. They count on you. They look to you. If you look nervous, they are nervous. We're calm. Miss Clark and Miss Hines, they are zen, they are calm, they are ferocious advocates for your daughters. But they are calm. And we have to be calm. We have to be calm for them. The last thing that I will say is this is also a time where you may see, Isabel, I don't know if this describes you at all. Are you the only person that
Other people has a math test.
A math test, okay, she's studying. So I'm sorry. Not me. You may recall my conversations with you about the bus, right? And your job over the span of your daughter's elementary and secondary school career is to get yourselves out of the driver's seat in the bus and put her in the driver's seat, and then little by little back your way out of the bus, and then finally, boop, you go out the back door and you're on the sidewalk waving as she goes off to college. This is a time where you may feel like, boy, I'm almost at the back of the bus, but I keep getting pulled to the front of the bus. What is that about? You know, as students sort of take risks and are moving through transitions, you will find that they need you. They need you in ways that may remind you of who they were when they were 9th graders. And sometimes who they were when they were kindergartners. I'm not saying this in a negative way. This is what we do as humans. This is what we do. When we feel a little lack of confidence, when we feel that we need a little more support, we regress. I don't mean it in a negative way, but we move into a space that maybe we had when we were little. Think about your children. When they either walked first or they talked first. Chances are, whichever one they did first, when they developed the other one, they regressed in the first one. Maybe just a little bit. You know, they were toddling and they weren't talking, then all of a sudden they're talking and they're holding on to the edge of the, right? This is very common behavior. So be aware. You know, they're not going to necessarily climb in your lap, but you may find that they need you to be there in ways that they haven't needed you all through high school. But that's really normal and it's really good, and it means that they know that they can depend on you and to trust you. Because they're doing this with us all the time. I always say with seniors when they come in, 11th graders, they come into my office, they chat and they get out. Seniors, they come into my office and my assistant's like, girls, she has another meeting. Yeah. They could stay for hours, right? That's all part of this too. They need us all to be together, all to support them as they move into more than just the application process, as they move into this next phase of their life, which is so incredibly exciting. And I've talked to so many parents tonight who are like, oh, I'm so sad, my daughter's, she's gonna be going away, maybe this is my last child at home or whatever. It's really fun. They go away, they meet friends, you get to meet, right? Isn't it so fun? It's so fun!
Totally agree.
It's so fun. You go, you take all our friends out to dinner, you listen to everything that's happening, you reminisce about your own time, and it will continue. Not just when they go to college, but then when they get their job, and then, they may meet a partner, and they may move back in. But you're not losing your touch. And the last thing I will say is, it is amazing how much smarter my children think I am as they get older. It's as if I've had this amazing, change of my brain structure, that everything now I say is valuable and interesting, and they call and whatever. So they're 28 and 30. It's coming. Believe me, it all comes back